Over it!
If you are over Florida, make sure you stay tuned. Welcome or welcome back to Living in the Pacific Northwest with Hal Byrd. As you can tell, we are not in the Northwest right now.
No, what was the tip off? The white sands or the palm trees?
I think it's the palm trees. Maybe it's the wind. I mean, the gorge is windy, but wow, this is extra windy.
Different levels. So we are coming to you from Miami, Florida, and we figured it would be a great time and place to intro the video next in our Over It series.
And we've been talking to brokers all over Florida, from South Florida, Central, Northern Florida. So we have some great information to bring back to you guys. But if you live in Florida and you're thinking about moving to the Northwest, I'm pretty sure you know all of these things. Maybe this will just be confirmation of some of the reasons that our Florida clients are choosing to move to Oregon and Washington.
So like I said, it's absolutely beautiful land here. You got the beach, there's a cruise ship going off in the distance. You got the sand, the coast, there's beautiful palm trees. But like anything, there's a good and a bad side to Florida. So in this video, we're going to go over some of the big differences, contrast between Florida and Washington State, and the Northwest for that matter. And actually, there's some similarities as well.
There are.
So again, we're going to probably take this off of this windy beach. South Beach is where we happen to be at right now, and we'll continue this probably via the quiet confines of our office and also the Northwest.
All right, let's zoom back to our office. Ready? Whoosh! And we're back to the lovely state of Washington.
Always wanted to be in the movies.
Sorry.
Does this count for being in the movies? The motion picture?
I think it's as close as we're gonna get.
All right. Let us know in the comments how our
transition was.
Our transition, our theatrics, our acting. So we're back in the Northwest from South Florida, Miami.
So let's quickly run through some of the reasons that people are leaving Florida. This is obviously not a comprehensive list. These are things that our clients that are coming from Florida have told us about what they, don't enjoy about Florida, the reasons that they're leaving.
Right, and obviously everyone's journey is different. There's a reason 23 million people live in the state of Florida. For some reason, I didn't know it was quite that big of a population. Again, in comparison, Washington State, we have less than 8 million people. So, I mean, it's quite a bit more people, almost 3 times the amount of people. But, everything ain't for everybody, as they say.
Yeah.
So
the first reason that we're hearing, and this is not in any ranked order, but one of the reasons that we're seeing people leave the state of Florida is climate events, like more extreme weather events, natural disasters. It's definitely something that our clients have brought up to us. And I think it's worth noting that a lot of our clients aren't necessarily originally from Florida. A lifelong Floridian might be used to the hurricanes. Every time there's a hurricane and we watch the news and we hear, it's like the people who are like, we're not leaving. We've been here, 30 years and
batten down the hatches.
Yeah, it's like a routine for them. I mean, you guys have hurricane season in Florida.
It can get overwhelming to the point where you're like, do we really want to deal with this year after year?
Yeah. So hurricanes is one thing, extreme weather events, but also just the general weather. Some people are tired of the heat and the humidity. Well, even here, like people who grew up here, like it's warmer here than it's ever been. So even if Florida used to be the place people wanted to go to retire. And I think what I realized, because I do talk to a lot of retirees, I think they're one of my largest groups of clients, is how many people just like cool, mild weather and don't want to be in like constant sunshine.
Yes, I'm one of them. It'll be interesting times with the climate changing and these extreme weather events. I don't think we're immune to it necessarily up here in the Northwest, but in general, we have a very kind of temperate climate and not typically too high, not too low, or, hot and cold, and really don't have to worry about hurricanes, tornadoes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you can watch, we did a full video all about the weather and the seasons, and we'll link it right here.
I'd like to watch that again.
Reason number 2 that we're hearing people are wanting to leave Florida is politics. And this is not just a Florida to Washington thing. This is a national phenomenon where people are leaving areas that they don't align with politically. And I mean, there's a lot of people in the country who would like, moderate, but sometimes, there are places that are more far left or conservative or red, however you want to classify it, and then vice versa on the other side, to blue, liberal, and left. So, I mean, we don't want to get into how ugly politics is today, but I guess state of Washington has a red side and a blue side. So if you're east of the Cascades, it is more politically red and conservative. And if you are west of the Cascades, it's generally more blue. And then I would say in our county, we're in Clark County. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about leaving Florida and you're like, I want to go to Washington and I don't know what part of Washington, we're in Clark County, Washington, which is in the very southwest part of Washington, just north of Portland, Oregon. And politically, our area is very purple.
Right. I was going to say closer to home. I like this area specifically because it isn't too extreme one way or the other. Not only is it not extreme, but it's not in your face. So like you say a lot in your videos, we don't necessarily know the politics of our neighbors. We just know that we get along great and they bring over a basket of fruit for us and we, return the favor and we just try to, kind of live the golden rule.
Yeah. So specifically with people leaving Florida, what I am hearing, and I'm always surprised how many people open up about politics or share their politics with me. And don't care what your politics is. Don't care how far right or how far left you are and where you feel on the spectrum. I'm here to serve everyone who wants to work with me. But I do notice that the people who are leaving Florida and coming here are telling me that they prefer the politics of Washington rather than Florida. And I'm sure, there's people leaving Washington that are going to Idaho and Arizona and Florida and Texas. And
going back to your point just a second ago, just as someone would leave Florida for Washington or the Northwest for political reasons, maybe to be more liberal, if you will, we also have people
balanced or moderate.
Well, my point was we also have a lot of people move from California here for maybe a little bit more conservative politics, right? So again, we all have our own priorities, but balance is a theme you'll hear a lot about kind of where we live and the way we look at it. So whether that's the weather being relatively balanced, politics, it's just a good balance overall. Not for everybody, but a good balance.
Yeah. And as a state, we definitely are blue leaning. So statewide, but I would say locally, we're definitely more moderate.
Yes.
Purple.
And the third reason that a lot of folks reach out to us who are looking to relocate from Florida up here to the Northwest is the insurance crisis. And if you've been keeping up on the news or if you happen to live there, you know that insurability is becoming quite a big deal. Not only the affordability of insurance, if you can get it, but a lot of companies are actually pulling out altogether of insuring because of these repetitive weather events and things like that.
And you found out, what is the average cost of homeowners insurance in Florida?
Wow. So the average yearly cost of homeowners insurance in the state of Florida is $11,000.
And in Washington?
$1,100.
You delivered that more excited than I think anyone could.
Yes, I did. So obviously, we all have budgets. We all have, financial priorities. So if your insurance, just to insure your home, is $11,000 a year, that can put quite a strain on your budget.
Yeah, well, their home prices are lower, and we'll get to that, but you're adding on almost $1,000 a month.
Are they a tenth lower?
No.
No. Our insurance is a tenth lower. That's why I asked.
It doesn't work like that.
Oh. See,
No, look at the whole picture.
I'm a caveman. Regarding auto insurance, similar story. In Florida, it's $3,600 a year. In Washington, it's about $1,700 a year. When it comes to health insurance, in Florida, it's about $300, let's round to $400 a month, higher than the national average. In Washington, it's even higher, $100. So no savings there, but as far as auto and home insurance, there is quite a big difference.
Yeah. And for me, I think the thing that I'm hearing from people as I talk to them is that there's a certain level of fear, not like, oh, I'm waking up out of my sleep type of fear, but maybe an uneasiness, I would say, about the fact that there are so many companies that are pulling out of the state of Florida, no different than California.
We might have talked about this in the Florida footage, but didn't you have a client who, how much money were they set to have to start paying for homeowners insurance?
I think that the person I spoke to, they were considering moving up here, and they had, I think their homeowners insurance was like $18,000 a year, and it was going up to like $22,000.
Wow.
And then they had a friend who had a carrier that dropped them because the insurer left the state. Their insurance was going up to almost $40,000 a year. Maybe they have.
Do they have a $10 million home? Did they have a $40 million? Maybe they have a $40 million home that would make cuts.
But I remember them telling me those numbers. They were here visiting in town, and I was like, whoa.
That's staggering.
So, then you have the state-backed insurance, Citizens Property Insurance, but that's kind of like a last resort option. And for some people, that's their only option. I think one of the things, and this isn't me trying to be opportunistic, if you will, but if I was in that position where I felt like I was at risk to lose insurance, I would probably want to move and sell my house sooner, because if your house can't be insured, it's gonna be very difficult to sell.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, just something to think about. That would be like extremely concerning to me. And we have a property that is difficult to insure.
We do?
We do?
We do. It's on the coast though, so I guess similar situation.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. But
We don't have hurricane.
But it's not
every year.
$22,000 though.
It is not $22,000 a year to insure that property. Okay, so that's insurance. Reason number 4, which I kind of alluded to earlier, is health. We're hearing clients say that their doctors are recommending specifically that they move to the Northwest to an environment that is less humid and cooler and doesn't have as hot and humid summers. Because even if you move up north, I hadn't thought about this until now, but if you're in Florida and you move to New Hampshire or Philadelphia, North Carolina, like just north on the East Coast, it's still very humid in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas West Coast, we have a lot less humidity, more of a dry heat. And then, like me growing up in California, it was dry heat pretty much all the time. Then you come up here north and it's just a mild climate. Like the summers are warm. Don't get me wrong, we have our 90-degree days, but they're not as intense as having 90 degrees and 95% humidity.
Yes, as someone who struggles with humidity, being from the East Coast, living in Philadelphia, Atlanta, considering Florida, it can get stifling. And even our short time in Miami, just walking a half mile from the hotel to the convention center, by the time I get there, I'm literally like, you would think I just got out of the swimming pool. And it takes me 30 minutes to recover. So again, I can totally understand, and I'm pretty young and spry, So I could see how it is when you get a little bit older.
Yeah, and then so our clients that have, it's not old, it's health issues. Our clients, are you saying that only old people have health issues?
Not at all, but you have more health issues typically as your body ages.
That's fair. So we have a client who moved from South Florida and she has fibromyalgia, and that was one of the things that she was looking forward to, was not having so much inflammation and being able to better manage her fibro. And then same thing with allergies. I have several clients that have allergies whose doctors are telling them to come up here. And then the last reason we're seeing people leave is jobs. Washington has a very strong tech industry, and so there's a lot of job opportunities. Or if people are working remote and they want to stay somewhere that doesn't have state income tax, it can be job related in the sense that I work remote, we don't want to be in Florida anymore, don't want to go to Texas, kind of more of the same or similar, in terms of climate and politics. We want to go to Washington.
This would be a great intro to an upcoming video that we're putting together.
Oh, yeah.
Can we tease it now?
You can tease it now.
We are putting together, because one of our considerations in moving was looking for a state that was more tax advantageous.
Yeah, our thought was like, if we're leaving California, why move from one high tax state to another? Like, where can we pick up some tax advantages?
Right. So there are currently 9 United States that don't charge a state income tax every year. Washington being one, Florida being another, and there's 7 others. So we're actually going to put together a tax-free state, I know you hate the term, death match. And we're going to talk about just some of the contrast from state to state of the 9 states that offer tax-free living. So stay tuned for that. It'll be one of our favorite projects.
So those are the reasons. I want to quickly run through some of the differences and similarities between the states, because I think that it's one thing to know why people are leaving, but like what are kind of pros and cons. So I'm not calling them pros and cons, because for some people, warm, sunny weather all the time would be a pro, but for my husband, obviously that's a con. So these are just differences and similarities. So you already touched on one of them, which is the population difference.
Yeah, again, huge population difference. Florida, around 23 million people. State of Washington, around 7 million people, actually, 7.17 million people.
And then obviously weather is one, but I want to touch on rain because I think a lot of people think, again, warm, sunny Florida, but the difference is that Florida does get a lot of rain. It's very lush and green. Like you can't have, like otherwise it would be a desert, like some parts of California and Arizona and New Mexico, but they get their rain in heavy downpours all at once for 15 minutes in the afternoon. And we have a, 8-month extended drizzly rain season. And our 8 months, it's not like the sun doesn't come out or like you don't go out and hike. It's not constantly gray like this, like Eeyore with this dark gray cloud following you. But that is a difference, like the way we get rain. But by inches, I think it's pretty similar. We'll put up like the top metros in Washington and Florida to show like the difference in the inches of rain per year.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when we compare annual rainfall to where we live to other parts of the country. We have the stereotype that it always rains. And again, there's a lot of cities, Miami's probably one of them, that gets more rainfall per year. So be interesting.
And then
what about seasonality?
Well, so we have 4 seasons. We have true 4 seasons and they're temperate. So they're not too hot, not too cold. We have pretty mild winters. When we get snow, it's, a few days to a week. We usually get like a couple inches, which is, I always tell people it's enough to be cute, but not enough to be an inconvenience.
Yeah, and I'm just a super big fan of seasons, for distinct seasons. So we're solidly into fall right now. It's as of the shooting of this video, so you can start to layer a little bit. Put the short sleeves and the shorts away, and then in another month or so we'll be getting into winter. But again,
I can't wait to pull out my winter coat. Now, the cost of living in Washington in general is greater than Florida. I think I saw the cost of living, it's always on a scale of 100. So like if your area is 100, then you are like right in line with the national average cost of living.
Okay.
And so Florida was like 102 and Washington was like 115.
Okay.
But I think when you look, it's going to depend on where you're coming from, because if you go from like Miami-Dade County to Vancouver's 12% cheaper. Now, I think it'd be different if you went from one of the most affordable areas in Florida to, say, Seattle, because Seattle's the highest cost of living area that I'm aware of in Washington. So it kind of depends on where you are. And again, we're in Clark County, a little bit more affordable than the Seattle metro area, than the Puget Sound in general. Now, one of the reasons we didn't talk about, and maybe we should have, is we didn't talk about outdoor activities and lifestyle. We kind of alluded to it, but one of the things that's cool is that there's outdoor activities are present in both. So that's kind of a similarity.
That is a similarity, yeah.
But here, it's more like mountains, forests, and there it's more like sand, beaches,
golf,
yeah,
swamp.
What's another difference?
So as an expert, how about we talk about home prices?
So home prices in Washington are more expensive. So most of the time when you Google like what the median home price is in an area, it's wrong. Like I looked at Renfin and it said that our median home price in our area was $495 in October of 2024. It's just not true. It's just not. So I could give you very accurate details to the MLS, but I like to use the same sources. So since I don't have access to the Florida MLS, the source that I found said that the median home price in Florida was $392, so roughly $400. Here it's $575. It's about a 45% difference.
Yeah, across the state.
Across the state.
Gotcha.
And in our area, that's pretty accurate. I can put if you're leaving Florida and you're coming to Washington and you're coming to Clark County specifically, I can put up what our median home prices are for this date and time. So there's that on the screen. And the similarities. So we talked about differences. Similarities, I think a big one is state income tax.
That's probably the biggest one.
One of the things that I hear the most from our clients that are coming from states that already have no state income tax is that they want to maintain that status. So that's why we have a lot of people coming from Florida and from Texas. Those are the 2 most populous states that don't have state income tax. And so when people start looking at the Northwest, for that reason, if you're coming from Texas or Florida, Washington gets a bit of an edge over, say, Oregon.
An argument there. I mean, if you can help it and the lifestyle, the living arrangement suits you, you're talking about potential 10% a year additional income, that you're saving.
Yeah.
So, and moving on to outdoor recreation, I think both states offer a lot. Again, like you said, obviously being in the Northwest, we have a lot more of a mountainous offering. So if you're into winter sports, skiing, snowshoeing, hiking,
Even just sledding with the kids or something.
so there's a lot there. Where we're located in Washington, we're about an hour and a half from the coast. So if you do have a love for the ocean, you're not too far away from that as well.
And I think adding in a difference too is that the Florida beaches can be very crowded because there's a lot of tourism there, whereas in Washington and the Northwest, our beaches are a lot more sparse. They're cold,
Yeah.
So,
But I happen to love them. And then going, I guess, east from where we are currently located, you have the Columbia River Gorge, which is a whole other jewel into itself.
the ultimate outdoor playground.
Right. So you have a lot of options, really. When we sit down with people who are in town considering a move, I typically tell them we almost have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to things to do here. Like you'll run out of time before you run out of hobbies and new interests. And I think that's a great place.
And kind of in line with like the outdoor recreation that's similar between, both states also have access to water because Florida's a coastal state, Washington's a coastal state. So if you like boating, fishing, water sports, you can do all of those things here.
Absolutely.
And then the last, I think, is the economies. I think this is an interesting thing to talk about because both states have diverse economies. Florida's economy is run off of tourism and agriculture, and ours is off tech and agriculture. And so I think it's nice to move to a state that is producing things, that has a healthy economy.
Yeah. I would actually like to do a video where we do a deep dive on Washington's agriculture industry, because there's some really interesting things that I could think of as far as like what we're topping it in the nation for producing, whether it be potatoes or apples or stuff like that, stuff that you may not
And what exporting
natively know about.
Okay, let us know in the comments if you want that video.
Yeah, let us know.
So I think this video and this whole Overix series is not meant to throw shade on any particular state or the state of Florida or the people who call it home. It's really to illuminate that there are these patterns that we're seeing with our clients. We track where our clients are coming from and the top states they're coming from. And Florida was in the top 5 states that we have clients coming from.
Right. Yeah, there's obviously nothing wrong with Florida. There's over 20 million people who love it or call it home. And we're just kind of sharing information that may resonate with you as someone who may be getting to the point where you're over it.
So if you're sitting in Florida and you're watching this video, let us know in the comments what part of Florida you're in and what has you thinking about moving to the Northwest in general. It could be Oregon, could be Washington. It'd be great if it's our area. We'd love to help you out with your real estate needs.
Speaking of which, what areas could you help people with?
I cover 4 counties.
Okay.
Occasionally do a little bit farther out, but mainly Clark County, Washington. And then I cover the Portland metro area. So that's Multnomah County, Washington County, Clackamas County. So pretty much the whole Portland metro area.
But I heard you had your tentacles all over the Northwest.
I do. And so if you're looking at, say, Seattle or Olympia or Tacoma or Spokane, I have Realtor network across the entire country and even internationally. So if you just want me to place you with a realtor, if you want me to kind of be your realtor matchmaker in different parts of the country, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this Over It Florida. Again, please interact with us, comment, let us know what you thought about some of the information we shared.
Yeah, like this video. Make sure you're subscribed. Please subscribe. It really helps us get this information out. So if you watch our videos, if you enjoy it, I was on a Zoom with someone this week and they said they watched like 2 or 3 videos and they're like, we like that girl. Like, we're gonna hire her. So if you feel that way, if you're like, we like these folks, like these are our people, like please subscribe. It really helps us out.
Yep. And the whole goal with this channel was just to be the friend in the Northwest that we wish we had when we were looking to relocate and kind of get some real deal information about what life is really like here. So
yeah. And if you are considering a move, you can book a Zoom with me. My Zoom link is in the description below. If you're reluctantly dragging a spouse along, make sure to send them our videos. We should probably make shorter videos specifically so that people can send it to spouses. Because if you sent me a 25-minute video or however long this video is going to be about something I had no interest in, I probably wouldn't watch it.
yes, take out the probably.
Let us know if you need the spouse videos that are shorter. I hadn't thought about that before.
Spouse size videos.
Spouse size videos. Okay, we are out.
See you guys. Ciao.
Ciao.